Football fans, Gladiator family, this is In the Endzone with the Duke City Gladiators. Good evening and welcome to yet another episode of In the Endzone featuring the Duke City Gladiators. We have a very special episode here for us today featuring two very, very special guests. We have owner of the Duke City Gladiators, Miss Gina Thomas. And we have director of player personnel, Matt Avila. So last week we talked about the 2018 season, which led to a championship victory for the Duke City Gladiators. And this week we're going into the 2019 championship season, but we have some changes going from 2018 to 2019. One of the most important changes is changing ownership, where you took over ownership of the team. So what was it like going from 2018, winning the championship, now you're the owner, and trying to lead this team to yet another championship in 2019?
Well, I bought in, so I was one of the owners in the end of 2017. And of course, sat on the board with Matt through 2018 and was one of the shareholders as well. Coming off the championship, it came to my attention that some of the other owners were trying to go dormant. And so fully understanding what that dormancy meant to Albuquerque as well as the team was a little bit more than I was able to handle. So I got my feet on the ground and figured out how I can move forward with the team for 2019. Coming off that championship and people just finally realizing who the Gladiators were. I mean, that was one of the problems that we had, is nobody really knew about arena football in Albuquerque, New Mexico, much less New Mexico. That was one of our challenges, is making sure that everybody knew the Duke City Gladiators had just won a championship.
And talking about challenges, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced personally taking over sole ownership of a professional football team?
Well, we had 45 days to get on the field from the time that we negotiated the asset purchase agreement of the sole ownership from my husband and myself to take over the team. Assuming that I thought that we had equipment, that we had everything that I had seen in prior seasons actually belonging to the team. Well, some of it was old, some of it needed to be replaced. It was really a start over point for us. And what was really the most exasperating thing, and asking Matt and Matt elaborating on it, was figuring out how to run the team. We had no idea. We sat in the office and made corporate decisions.
That's one thing that's super important, is having a good team behind you to help you run the business. And you said before that you had to bring Matt along with you to help you.
Oh, Matt and Chuck Lopez. I mean, and that was my biggest fear when I made the decision to take over the team, is would they come with me, along with all the other wonderful people that are part of game day. Tara, Vernon, and Vidal, who we've recently lost, and his wife. Everybody that's on that field that makes Tingley happen at game day, which is the most exciting thing if you've never experienced it.
It is. Matt, what was it like going from one role to stepping up in a role and being Gina's right-hand man and helping her run a professional team?
Well, you know, and it starts off with a lot of long days. It really does. I can remember the day that she did take over, when she left the office and came back a couple hours later, and she told me, she said, look, I took over the Gladiators, and you know, you and Chuck are coming with me. And you know, I would never hesitate and tell Gina no. You know, I love this woman with all my heart, you know, just like a mother figure, and I knew she wanted to keep this team here in Albuquerque. So we jumped on. You know, she has great leadership. Chuck has actually been part of the organization since 2015. So he had some experience on how to run the team. I had to really piggyback and, you know, take their leadership, his experience, and take the football knowledge that I had and really carry on with it. And you know, it came out great, getting to know one another, putting together game operations. We had them all together. They stuck around. They're phenomenal. You know, you're talking Vernon and Tara and their crew. They're great. And you know, we had to hit the ground running. Talking about equipment, you know, that's one of the big things that was a challenge there for us for a little while. Is, you know, we needed to get that equipment in, get it refurbished, make sure the helmets were, you know, up to par, safe enough for you players to wear.
Thank God they'd already put us on the schedule.
Yes. So definitely we had a schedule already. So that was big to our advantage, because we already had dates, you know, to play inside of Tingley Coliseum. And all we had to do was, we had 45 days to put it all together, and you know, we did it.
We're going to take a quick break from conversation with Duke City Gladiators owner Gina Thomas and Director of Player Personnel Matt Avila after a quick word from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Christy Pofall and the Pofall team at Guild Mortgage, serving New Mexico families since 1988. Contact us at 505-261-8888 to start the home buying process.
And it turned out great. It turned into a championship season, and it looks great. If you're on the outside looking in, it looks like it was a smooth transition, smooth flow from one championship to another. But we know, even on the field, the teams face adversity. So I'll ask both of you guys, what was one of the biggest adversities you've had to overcome? As first-year owner of the team, what was the most grueling and biggest adversity you had to step up and overcome?
The biggest adversity for me was transitioning into that leadership position, of doing something I knew absolutely nothing about. Okay, and people would even say she's a Dallas fan, so she still knows nothing about football. But learning the rules of the league, you know, being able to schedule the travel. We had 45 days to literally get helmets, equipment, balls, players in here, housing, food. As you know, we house and feed all the players, DC. We were fortunate enough to meet you at that time. You were part of the Come On for 2019, and, you know, actually scheduling, you know, the field, just all of those things were all hurdles, because most people had heard that we were going dormant, and so they didn't plan for us to come back in 19, and so they didn't plan for us to have our usual spot. So it was really hard to get some people back on board for us to do that, as well as, you know, figuring out what my fixed costs were, my operating budget, just all of those things. And it wasn't exactly what I had observed in prior years.
I mean, I can't even imagine all the other things, because I know how hard it is personally to house and, most importantly, feed all of us.
It's a 25-man roster, 21 of you sued.
Yeah, it's tough to feed all of us. Grown men, you got to keep all us fed, housed, and taken care of, and you did a great job. We had great housing, great food all over Albuquerque.
Well, thank God for, you know, Evolve, CJ, you know, knowing what the heck to do on that side, the training side, you know, and getting you guys all ready for camp and for the field.
Yeah, it was great. But what about you, Matt? What was one of the biggest adversities you had to overcome going into 2009?
You know, getting the equipment in time enough for camp was probably one of the biggest things, biggest hurdle that we did have.
And good for Jimmy with BSN.
Yes, yeah, BSN stepped up to the plate, got us all new gear, new jerseys, everything for you boys, and safe enough. We know football is high contact in general, but indoor football is very high contact. So we wanted to make sure you guys were properly geared up and safe. And so big shout out to Jimmy at BSN. One of the things I would even say is letting the public know that we're still here. Exactly, because I truly believe if we did go dormant that one year, I don't think the Gladiators would be here today.
I mean, DC, me and Matt were up at 5 o'clock in the morning doing TV shows at the stadium after we'd been at the bars till 2 o'clock in the morning, passing out tickets, letting people, just little trinkets for the Gladiators, and every avenue for anybody that would open their door to us to market our team. We were there, being in the schools, and then of course there were other organizations that we were tied to again that we were unaware of that we had to, that we had to honor. So it was, it was something. First time Matt ever drank coffee.
Yeah. Coffee with espresso shots has kind of turned into my thing since then. Yeah.
You talked about the marketing aspect and how big that was. One thing that I noticed for the 2019 season that was a lot different from the 2018 season was the tailgates before the game. How exciting was it to set up the tailgates and see the fan base come out and tailgate before the game?
Well, when we sat down to figure out a proper business model for the organization, Isaac Sandoval, who's a good friend of ours, he says, okay, whatever you don't feel, I'll take that last piece. So I called him up and I said, okay, Isaac, you're in charge of the parties. And boy, did they turn out to be some parties.
Yeah, the tailgates were great because I got to be able to see, when I moved to Albuquerque, the Lobos used to have this very large tailgate party, and you've seen that transition into the Duke City Gladiator tailgate parties, and start seeing it grow. Now, I was part of the organization years ago. I would see 15, 20 people kind of out there, tailgating before the game, and now we were looking, 400 or 500 people out in the parking lot, having a good time together, and then when you boys started walking out before the games and meeting meeting the kids and the families, it just turned out great, and that became a whole event itself, truly, before the game.
And just me personally seeing the tailgate before the game, fan interactions, and then even after the game, the fans rush the field, take pictures and autographs, and during the game, kids have a moon bounce in the back of the end zone that they can do while they're watching the game. It seems like a total fan experience. So you're getting all that set up, tailgates, marketing. Now you're going into the first game, 2019.
Oh, you forgot about the players.
Yeah, the players too. Yeah. So you're going into 2019 and you're defending champions with a new owner. Mm-hmm. How nerve-wracking was it going into that first game as full owner of Duke City Gladiators?
When we opened those doors and you guys came out, there was 6,500 people in that Coliseum. Yeah. And as you know, even with 1,200 people, the energy in there is just incredible. So you get that many people in there, and then when we, of course, when we know we're going to win the game, just because we win at home. Yeah. when you open those doors from the locker room, you were there. Yeah. And that place was packed. It was happening.
When the lights turn off and the players are running out, and then when the lights come back on, is when you get to see the whole crowd. That's just, they're yelling. And before, you used to see the crowd just sitting on one side of Tingley Coliseum.
The first game, okay, so we get calls like, hey, they're still all the way down San Pedro, okay? Yeah, so it was, then that became a norm that, you couldn't get into a Gladiator game quickly, so people came out to tailgate because that was the only way they were gonna get in the door fast.
Yeah. And to see that crowd just wrap around the entire Coliseum, that was beautiful, just to see that it was packed. And we have 6,500 people going. We could still fit, that thing seats 10,000 people, so that's our goal.
Even with 6,500, it's still pretty rocking.
Yes.
It's definitely rocking.
Yeah.
Duke City family, football fans, every week we're going to showcase some of the amazing and incredible talent we have on our roster. This week we have
Cedric Johnson, all-arena football player. He's a star wide receiver. Led the league in receptions last year. He was number 3 with touchdowns and number 1 in yards.
There you have it, folks. Cedric Johnson, Spotlight Player of the Week.
My name is Cedric Johnson. I'm a wide receiver for the Duke City Gladiators, number 88, and 88 for 5 years now. I was a four-star out of high school. I ended up going to Iowa State. I was a freshman All-American there. Arena career, I first started in West Texas in Odessa called the Texas Wildcatters. My first year of arena ball went well. Got a call from Coach Bermonte at the time and Coach Tino. Told me to come out there and play with a team called the Duke City Gladiators. Of the community, honestly, man, the people here, the owners, the organization. When you got people that's behind you and that really cares about you, it makes it easy to play hard. It's a family. They look past just being on the field, it's outside of football too. We're a family, so it's very true. And I love it, man. It makes me want to play hard, makes me want to give everything I got for this city. Even up to the build-up, man, interviews, the things coming up to it, you know, the whole community, you know, you see it all around town, go Gladiator, stuff like that. And then when you get to the game, you know, you're talking to the people at the front when you're checking in, they're telling you good luck, man, I hope y'all win tonight, man. Have a great game. It pumps you up. I'm getting goosebumps doing it right now. It's an exciting feeling, you know it's different, it's exciting, it's a game that is so electric. You got pictures, people got cameras and everything like that. So it's electric, it's butterflies before the game, and you hear the crowd, it's so packed, especially in a building like we have at Tingley Coliseum. It's so electric there, man. Especially when you score, the roof, I feel like the roof goes off the building. It's crazy. I love it. If you haven't been to a game, you need to go. Oh my God, it's electric. Especially if we get to a championship, it's one of the greatest experiences you'll ever have, I'm telling you right now. It makes you want to play, man. I felt like I was in a Super Bowl or something, honestly, man. And really, I'm a trainer now because I work out, you know, especially during the season. I try to still do I still work out like 3 times a week, and then also doing my running every day, at least 5 times a week during the season. Hey, this your boy Cedric Johnson from the Duke City Gladiators, number 88, here at Evolve. You know, where I train at, the facilities for the Duke City Gladiators. So come in here and watch me, see me do a couple of things, see how I do. Here we go. Working my explosive work right now, getting it in, lightweight, but jumping with the weight as high as I can. Helps with my strength, helps with my endurance, helps me get up and get those jump balls. That's why you see me jumping over the walls like I do, because I do things like this. So it's really getting at it, lifting weights, you know, like I said, 3 times a week, and then always getting my speed and explosive work in, keeping myself consistent. I'm working my core and my upper body right there. More upper body strength I got, the more I can move people. All right, the more resistant weight I do, more body weight stuff I do, the more explosive I'm gonna get. So pull-ups is a big thing for me, especially if playing wide out.
Now let's take a look at some of our amazing talent we have on the roster. Here's a player spotlight on some of our linemen.
Dalen Young, defensive line. Moses Montesir, offensive line.
Lance Hyder, defensive line.
I went to school at West Texas A&M. I came back to the Duke City Gladiators this year. I was with them in 2019. I also went to school at West Texas A&M. Throughout the years 2015, 2017. It's my second year with the Gladiators. I came in mid-season 2019, so I'm back 2021 for the next season.
West Texas A&M alumni. Went to school in 2014 to 2018, came to the Duke City Gladiators in 2020. Now I'm trying to be one of a kind. Playing next to David Young, I've been playing next to him for about 3 years now as far as actual playing. And I'll say I enjoyed it much. It was good chemistry there. We already know what we're about to do before we do it. You know, so there's no conversation that what we do is just gets done.
Playing with these guys previously, it's just a chemistry that is unbreakable. We also have it with other teammates as well, so it's exciting to see what's going to come going forward. I don't like bouncing around from place to place, and I think after I finally got here, I found a place that is similar to home, and I can kind of grow. You know, and so my friends were on board as well. I'm just excited. We all got the same opportunity, and going forward, I can't be more thankful.
But out here in Albuquerque, there's a lot of love out here, especially, to the community. They really show love to the community. Everybody knows together. It's like everybody's as one, especially as the team. And that's one thing I liked about it. And, it was a real friendly environment that really, made us stick together, made us stay in Albuquerque. And that was one thing that we all liked and made us stay here, and made us, make Albuquerque our own currently.
Family's big here. It was big last year, and I think that contributed to the success we had, winning the championship. Just the surrounding, like Moses touched on, the community is definitely great, very friendly, welcoming, especially being where we're from. Kind of don't encounter that much, so it's kind of overwhelming and a good overwhelming. And that's the one thing I can say about this organization that's just different from everyone else is the way you fit in when we bring people in. We bring people in that fit to how we move, which is family oriented. So.
This is a family-oriented team. I've been in plenty of different teams throughout the IFL and CIL. And the Duke City Gladiators is one team I can say that is very family-oriented. We really care about each other, and our team chemistry is our number one thing here. And that's something that we really have to keep intact in order for us to really, go to where we need to be. And I feel like our team chemistry is really unmatched with any team, to be honest. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to next year, next season, is building on our team chemistry and making us a better team overall.
Christy Pofall and the Pofall team at Guild Mortgage, serving New Mexico families since 1988. Contact us at 505-261-8888 to start the home buying process.
In the Endzone with the Duke City Gladiators is brought to you by Roadrunner Realty and Investments. You can contact Teresa Padilla at
We won a championship again, back-to-back champions. Do you have anything that you would do different going into the 21 season going now that you didn't do in 2019?
Well, for me, it was letting the coaches coach. I mean, my motherly instinct was, oh no, you're not cutting that player, and so basically staying in my own lane is what I've learned going into the 2021 season. When I made the decision at the end of 2020 or the end of 2019 to move to the IFL, mainly for demographics and, as far as I'm concerned, a more competitive atmosphere, that we really belong in the IFL. Definitely is a step up. It's a step up another 200 in the budget, and it's a step up in just presentation altogether.
The recruiting standpoint is really what I have, grown to evolve on and how to reach out to players and who to look for,
I stepped out of that.
And
work with the coaches on this.
I would say one of the biggest things is to know your coaches. Know the fundamentals that they coach, what they strive in, their strategies for offense and defense, so you can go out there and exactly, how they coach is how you want to recruit. Putting those players in the best situation as possible. That's something that I truly took away, and to help out our coaching staff now in that aspect is something that I love it. Yeah, I would not change that for the world.
Camps in February, season starts in March, and we're excited to get going, bring a third championship to Duke City. And again, I want to thank you guys for coming on and taking out the time to talk to us about the roster and the season and everything that's going on with the Gladiators. And truly a blessing to have you guys on today. So thank you. Thank you. All right. That concludes another episode of In the End Zone with the Duke City Gladiators. I want to thank all you guys back home for tuning in. Tune in next week where we'll talk about the 2021 season and all the upcoming events.